Okay, so at this point in your AI automation journey, AI agent creation journey, whatever you want to call it, you've been hearing a lot of buzzwords, I'm sure. So that started off maybe with large language model, and then it moved to RAG and vector databases. And regardless of the order, there's going to be words that pop up that you aren't maybe super sure of what they mean. I remember when I first started and I would hear people say open source or closed source, and I'd be like, yeah, but really no clue what that meant. So, anyways, front end versus back end. It's a really, really simple concept, but it's something you probably hear get thrown around a lot. So, just in case you have a basic understanding of it or no understanding at all, this is going to be a quick one where we just talk about what that looks like. So, simply put, the front end is just what the user sees. So if you're building out an AI automation or an AI agent, typically they're not actually seeing what's going on behind the scenes. Um, and the front end is just the way that they're able to interact with the AI agent or the automation. So when you're talking to ChatGPT and you're just kind of typing in that web chat interface, that's the front end. And then when you send off that request, something's going on in the computer, in the server, wherever it is. There's something happening. Obviously, that's the back end, but we don't see that. All we do is on the front end communicate, and then we wait for that response back. So examples are chatbot on a website, a mobile app, a web form, and then in N8N, the front end could be sort of like a web page that's connected to N8N. So then we're sending it to the back end in N8N. Similarly with a form, stuff like that. So what I wanted to do is just show a quick example. On my current website for my agency, we've got a form submission. So this is the front end. This is what the user sees. They basically just put in their name, email, project details. They submit it, and then that's all they see until we eventually reach back out to them. But then we move into the back end, which is basically this form response gets sent to my email. So here's the email trigger where it's waiting for those form responses. It figures out if it's a form response. If it is, it's going to send it over, grab the date, extract information, put it into a Google Sheet for us. And this is a really, really unoptimal um, automation here. So I made a quick video about this one in the AI nodes section of the Building AI Agents deep dive. So go watch that quick example if you want to let me know how you would improve it, what you think is the issue here, because I've been meaning to optimize it. I already know a few ways I would make it better. So if you give that video a quick watch, let me know your thoughts, and we'll see if we have the same ideas. But anyways, obviously, also we have a new CRM now. It's not Google Sheets anymore. But that's besides the point. The point here is that this is the back end because the form, obviously, what happens is they submit a form and then it pops up in our CRM. But then there's something going on in between that, which is, like I said, this process of logic that takes place. So examples of backend, pretty much the backend is just a workflow. But when you're running AI models like ChatGPT, that's the backend. You're fetching information from a database or automating tasks, and this is usually for us in N8N because that's what we use to automate. So that's the workflow that's pretty much the backend. So how they work together, I think by now we probably all understand that. A user asks a question on the front end, which is the chatbot website or app. The message gets sent to the backend workflow. The backend goes through the process of however the logic is configured, and then pretty much sends an answer back to the user at the front end. It doesn't always do that. Like in the case of the form submission I just walked through this example, they submit it and then the screen just says hey, we got your submission, thanks. And so I guess technically that could be the response back to the front end, but not really. But let's say if you watched one of my videos about the voice agents on 11 Labs. So I know it was in a test environment, but essentially the front end was that little interface where we clicked on start call and we just see the little, it looks like a CD that kind of breathes or orbs, whatever you want to call it. That CD thing that we're talking to, that's the front end. That's all we see. And then in the back end, the N8N's actually doing the RAG, doing the email sending, whatever it is. And then every time it reaches out to the back end to do that, it's sending something back. So it's responding to the webhook. So within N8N, like I said, there's tons of different ways you can have sort of your front end, which could be a form response in N8N that could be embedded on a website. It could be, if you want to have a personal assistant, the front end could just be a Telegram trigger. I've done a lot of stuff with Telegram where we talk to the agent in Telegram and then it sends us a response back in Telegram. So it could be that. It could be a webhook on your website, of course. It could be you could be communicating with the agent only through your Gmail account. So there's just so many ways, and That's why it's like front end and back end. You'll hear it a lot because pretty much every application of some sort of automation or AI agent that you're building will have a front end and a back end. So just an important thing to understand. But a quick analogy, and I seem to use the kitchen and the waiter analogy a lot because sometimes when I'm thinking of analogies, I ask ChatGPT, of course, and a lot of times they come back with kitchen and waiter, like when we talked about APIs and sending over your HTTP requests and stuff like that. But anyways, the front end is like the waiter because you're talking to the waiter, you see the menu, you order food, the waiter goes back, you don't know what happens in the kitchen. I don't know if you always want to know what happens in the kitchen. Um, but at the end of the day, you get your food back, and then you're usually pretty pleased with it um, because the waiter brings it back, and you don't actually see what happened. You don't see the process of them cooking it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll leave that here. I will, drop this PDF in this little post as well. So any further questions about front end or back end? Hopefully this made sense. But any further questions, then feel free to reach out or drop a post in the community. But thanks for watching, guys.